Let's dive into today's story. Chapter 1. The Call. Marcus Pineda had built his life on two pillars: precision and loyalty. At 52, he ran a mid-sized architectural firm in Portland, Oregon, specializing in historical restoration, work that required patience, attention to detail, and an ability to see what others missed. His weathered hands bore the calluses of someone who'd started on construction sites before earning his degrees, and his sharp gray eyes could spot a structural weakness from across a room. He'd met Connie Bryant 28 years ago at a community college where she was studying nursing, and he was working nights as a security guard while taking architecture classes during the day. She'd been different then, warm, ambitious, with a laugh that could light up a room. They married young, had their daughter Amber within 2 years, and built what Marcus thought was an unshakable foundation. But foundations could crack. He'd noticed it over the past 18 months, small things at first. Connie's phone angled away when she texted. New clothes she claimed were old. A gym membership she used religiously, though she'd never been athletic. Weekend nursing conferences that left no paper trail. Marcus wasn't a jealous man by nature, but he was observant. Still, he'd said nothing, waiting, watching, gathering the pieces of a puzzle he wasn't sure he wanted to complete. That Thursday evening in late October started like any other. Marcus sat in his leather recliner, pretending to watch a documentary about Gothic architecture while actually studying Connie from the corner of his eye. She lounged on the couch, scrolling through her phone with the kind of focus that suggested the conversation on screen mattered more than the husband 3 feet away. His own phone rang at 8:47 p.m. Amber's name flashed across the screen. "Hey, sweetheart," he answered, keeping his voice light. The sound that came through made his blood freeze, a gasping, choking sob that barely resembled his daughter's voice. "Dad." Her voice shattered on the word. "Dad, is Mom with you?" Marcus glanced at Connie, who'd looked up from her phone, eyebrows raised in mild curiosity. "Yes, she's right here." "What's wrong?" "That's impossible." Amber's breathing came in ragged bursts, the trained composure of a 911 dispatcher completely stripped away. "Dad, someone just called 911. From Mom's phone. The number came up on my screen. I took the call." The room seemed to tilt. "What?" It was her voice, Dad. "I know my mother's voice." She was screaming, crying, saying she was trapped in an abandoned warehouse on Deckham Street, that someone was trying to kill her. The call cut off, but we traced it. The GPS ping came from Mom's phone. "Police are already en route to the warehouse," but her voice cracked again. "Dad, if Mom's with you, then who called 911? Marcus's mind raced through possibilities, each more disturbing than the last. He looked at Connie, who'd sat up now, concern creasing her face in what seemed like genuine confusion. "Amber, your mother is sitting right here on our couch. She's been here all evening." Then someone cloned her phone, Amber said, her dispatcher training kicking in. Or spoofed her number. "But Dad, the voice, it sounded exactly like her. Not AI, not a recording. It was her." Connie stood up. "Marcus, what's happening?" Before he could answer, blue and red lights strobed through their front windows. Car doors slammed. Heavy footsteps pounded up the walkway. The doorbell rang, followed immediately by aggressive knocking. "Portland Police. We need to speak with Connie Bryant." Marcus moved to the door, his architect's mind already constructing and deconstructing scenarios. Through the peephole, he saw 4 officers, hands near their weapons, faces grim. He opened the door slowly. "I'm Marcus Pineda. That's my wife, Connie. What's this about?" The lead officer, a stocky woman with iron gray hair, stepped forward. "Mrs. Bryant, we received a 911 call from your phone approximately 8 minutes ago. The caller, identifying herself as Connie Bryant, reported being held against her will in a warehouse on Deckham Street. Can you explain that?" Connie's face had gone pale. "That's impossible. I've been here all evening. My phone is..." She reached for her purse on the side table, rummaged through it, then froze. "It's not here." "When did you last see it?" the officer asked. "This morning." "No, wait." Connie's eyes darted around the room, landing on the couch. She rushed over, lifting cushions. "I had it. I was just using it. I was texting my sister about Thanksgiving plans maybe 20 minutes ago. May we come in and look around?" Marcus stepped aside. As the officers entered, he caught Connie's eye. In that moment, he saw something he'd never seen before. Genuine fear. Yes, but also a flash of something else. Calculation. 2 officers began a cursory search while the lead officer continued questioning. Mrs. Bryant, do you know of anyone who might want to harm you or frame you for something? No, of course not. I'm a nurse at Providence. I work in pediatrics. This doesn't make any sense. Marcus's phone rang again. Amber. He answered on speaker. Dad, units just cleared the warehouse. They found blood. Not a lot, but fresh. And they found Mom's phone. Smashed. Like someone destroyed it after making the call. The lead officer's expression hardened. Mrs. Bryant, I need you to account for your whereabouts over the past 3 hours. I've been here. Marcus, tell them. Marcus met the officer's gaze. She's been here since she got home from work at 6:15. We had dinner. We've been watching TV. Can anyone else verify this? Our cameras, Marcus said. He pulled out his phone, accessing his home security system. I have footage from every angle. He showed them the feed. Connie's car pulling into the driveway at 6:18 p.m., Connie entering through the front door, Connie visible through the living room window for the past 2 hours. The officer examined the footage, then nodded slowly. This doesn't explain the 911 call or the phone at the warehouse. Mrs. Bryant, someone went to considerable trouble to make this look like you were in danger, or to make it look like you staged a hoax. Either way, we're going to need you to come down to the station for a formal statement. Am I under arrest? Connie's voice had risen to a near shriek. Not at this time. But there's an active investigation, and you're at the center of it. After the police left with Connie's promise to appear at the station the next morning, Marcus stood in the suddenly quiet house, his mind working through the angles. Someone had taken Connie's phone. Someone had perfectly imitated her voice. Someone had staged an elaborate scene designed to do. What exactly? His phone buzzed. A text from a number he didn't recognize. Check your wife's real phone. The one she hides in her car. Then you'll understand who wants to hurt her, and why. Marcus stared at the message. Then, without a word to Connie, who was collapsed on the couch in tears, he walked out to the garage. Chapter 2. The Hidden Phone. The October air bit at Marcus's skin as he stood in the garage, illuminated by the harsh fluorescent lights he'd installed himself 3 years ago. Connie's silver Honda CR-V sat in its usual spot, a monument to suburban normalcy. He'd washed it for her last weekend, vacuumed the interior, even cleaned the cup holders. He thought he knew every inch of this vehicle. Apparently not. Marcus had spent 30 years studying buildings, learning their secrets, understanding that what people showed the world rarely matched what they hid in the walls. He approached the CR-V the same way he'd approach a historical structure, looking for inconsistencies, hidden compartments, spaces that didn't quite add up. The glove box revealed nothing but insurance papers and hand sanitizer. The center console held loose change, lip balm, and a tangle of phone chargers. He checked under the seats, finding only an old parking receipt and one of Amber's hair ties from years ago, the elastic dried and cracked. Then he remembered. Connie had insisted on a specific model with a particular feature, a hidden storage compartment behind the dashboard, marketed as a security feature for valuables. At the time, Marcus had thought it was unnecessary. Now he wondered. He found the release mechanism behind the temperature controls, pressed the small button sequence the dealer had shown them. A panel popped open with a soft click. Inside lay a second iPhone, identical to the one Connie carried openly, but with a different case, black instead of rose gold. Marcus pulled it out, his hands steady despite the fury building in his chest. The phone was unlocked. Either Connie had been careless, or she'd never imagined anyone would find it. The message thread that opened first was labeled simply K. The most recent message, from earlier that evening. She's distracted with the TV. Call you in 20. Miss you. Marcus scrolled up, his jaw tightening with each exchange. Months of messages. Years, maybe. The timestamps went back at least 2 years. Pet names. Photos he didn't want to see, but forced himself to look at anyway. Plans for weekends when Connie had claimed to be at nursing conferences. But it was the messages from the past week that made his blood run cold. K. We need to talk about him. He's not stupid. I see how he watches you. Connie. He doesn't know anything. He's too wrapped up in his buildings and his precious historical accuracy. K. If he finds out, if he tries to take you for everything in a divorce. Connie, he won't. And if he does, my lawyer says Oregon's a no-fault state. We split 50-50 regardless. K. 50-50 of what you've built together. But what about what you'll build with me? I'm not starting over at zero because your husband gets half of everything. Connie, what are you suggesting? Kay, I'm saying accidents happen. Construction sites are dangerous. Your husband works around them all the time. Marcus had to set the phone down, close his eyes, breathe. In his mind, he cataloged every close call he'd had over the past 6 months. The ladder that had collapsed at the Morrison Street renovation. The electrical panel that had shorted out inches from where he'd been standing. The scaffolding bolt that had worked loose on the Ainsworth project. Coincidences. Or attempts. He picked up the phone again, forcing himself to continue reading. Connie, I can't be part of anything like that. Kay, you wouldn't be. You'd just be a grieving widow. With life insurance. With his half of everything. Free to move on. Connie, there's a daughter. Amber would never forgive me. Kay, Amber's 26. She'll grieve and move on. People do. The messages from today were even more chilling. Kay, change of plans. Meet me at the warehouse on Decamet 8. Alone. Connie, why? You're scaring me. Kay, just trust me. Leave your regular phone at home. Bring the burner. Something's happening tonight that will change everything. But Connie hadn't gone. She'd stayed home, texting on her regular phone, seemingly unaware that the secret phone was missing. Marcus heard footsteps behind him. He turned to find Connie standing in the garage doorway, her face a mask of conflicting emotions, fear, anger, and something else. Resignation, maybe. How long have you known? She asked quietly. About the affair? Months. About the rest? He held up the phone. About 5 minutes. Marcus, I can explain. Can you explain messages discussing my murder? His voice was eerily calm, the kind of calm that came before storms. Can you explain your lover suggesting you'd be better off as a widow? Connie's face crumpled. I never agreed to that. You saw the messages. I told him no. You told him you couldn't be part of it. That's not the same as no. That's not the same as I'm calling the police, or I'm telling my husband someone's planning to kill him. Kevin was just talking. He says things when he's angry or frustrated. He didn't mean. Kevin. Marcus filed the name away. Kevin who? Connie's silence was answer enough. Let me guess. Marcus continued, his architect's mind piecing together the pattern. You were supposed to meet him tonight at the warehouse. But you didn't go. You stayed home instead. So Kevin, or someone, made that 911 call from your phone. The phone that's now smashed at a crime scene. Tell me, Connie, what was supposed to happen tonight? I don't know. I swear I don't know. When Kevin texted me to meet him, something felt wrong. So I stayed home. I thought. She wrapped her arms around herself. I thought maybe I could end things quietly. Just stop answering, let it fade away. Get back to normal. Normal? Marcus laughed, a harsh sound without humor. You think there's a normal to get back to? We could try counseling. I made a mistake, Marcus. I know that now. But we have a history. We have Amber. We could. We have nothing. He pocketed the burner phone. Someone made a 911 call tonight using your voice, your phone number, and your identity. That same someone arranged for police to show up at our door. Now there's a police investigation, blood evidence, and a destroyed phone at a crime scene. This isn't a mistake you can apologize away. What are you going to do? Marcus looked at his wife, the woman he'd loved for 28 years, the mother of his child, the stranger standing in his garage. I'm going to find out who Kevin is. I'm going to find out what was really supposed to happen tonight. And then I'm going to make sure that everyone who tried to hurt my family pays for it. Marcus, please. Don't do anything. Anything what? Illegal? Violent? Stupid? He moved past her toward the door to the house. Don't worry, Connie. Unlike you and your boyfriend, I believe in justice. Real justice. The kind that doesn't fade away quietly. Inside the house, he found Amber waiting in the living room, her face pale and drawn. She'd let herself in with her key. Dad, I heard everything through the door. The garage door was open. Marcus pulled his daughter into a hug, feeling her shake against him. How much did you hear? Enough. She pulled back, her eyes red but fierce. Mom's been having an affair. This Kevin person wanted to kill you. And tonight, her voice broke. Tonight was supposed to be something bad. But it didn't happen, Marcus said firmly. I'm here. We're here. And we're going to figure this out. The police. The police are investigating a hoax 911 call. They don't know about the affair, the threats, any of it. Not yet. He pulled out the burner phone. But they will. First, though, I need to understand the full picture. Amber, Her dispatcher, training evident in her suddenly focused expression, nodded. What do you need me to do? Can you pull the 911 call? The actual recording. That's against protocol. I could lose my job. Someone tried to frame your mother tonight. Or worse. I need to hear that call. Amber hesitated for only a moment before pulling out her own phone. I'll have it sent to a secure email within the hour. But Dad, if we're doing this, we do it right. We document everything. We build a case. And when we're ready, we bury them. Marcus looked at his daughter and saw himself reflected back. The same attention to detail, the same unwillingness to leave a job half-finished, the same quiet determination. That's my girl, he said softly. Connie appeared in the doorway, mascara streaking her cheeks. Amber, sweetheart, you have to understand. I don't have to understand anything, Mom. Amber's voice could have cut glass. You chose to cheat. You chose to ignore threats against Dad's life. You chose everything that brought us here. Now Dad and I are going to choose what comes next. Chapter 3, The Recording. At midnight, Marcus sat in his home office, a converted bedroom on the second floor with blueprints rolled and stacked along one wall, and a drafting table he still used despite having CAD software. Amber sat across from him, her laptop open, a determined set to her jaw that reminded him of the little girl who'd once built elaborate block towers just to knock them down and start over. The email had arrived 20 minutes ago. Amber had pulled strings, called in favors, and convinced a supervisor that she needed the recording for quality assurance training. The lie came too easily, which worried Marcus, but tonight wasn't a night for moral absolutism. Ready? Amber asked, her finger hovering over the play button. Marcus nodded. The recording started with the standard 911 opening. 911. What's your emergency? Then came the voice, Connie's voice, unmistakably, crying and gasping. Please, you have to help me. I'm trapped. There's someone. Oh God, he's coming back. Please hurry. Ma'am, what's your location? Warehouse. Deckham Street. The old one. Please, he's going to kill me. He said. A crashing sound. More screaming. No. Please, I have a daughter. I have a... The call cut off. Marcus felt cold. That was Connie's voice. Not similar. Not a good imitation. It was her exact voice, with the same inflections she used when genuinely frightened, the same breathless quality she got when panicking. It's her, Amber whispered. But it can't be her. Marcus rewound the recording, listening again and again. On the fourth playthrough, something caught his attention, a sound in the background, underneath the screaming. Rhythmic. Mechanical. Can you isolate the background noise? He asked. Amber's fingers flew across the keyboard, pulling the audio into editing software she'd learned to use for analyzing difficult 911 calls. She filtered out Connie's voice, amplified the background. There it was, a steady beeping, like a heart monitor. And underneath that, something else. Music. Classical music. That's Vivaldi, Marcus said. The Four Seasons. Winter. Amber stared at him. How do you know that? Your mother plays it when she cooks. Has for years. It's her favorite. He leaned forward, mind racing. Run the voice through analysis. Check if it's synthesized. Amber pulled up software that Marcus didn't recognize, running the audio through multiple filters. After 5 minutes, she shook her head. If it's AI, it's beyond anything commercially available. The breathing patterns are too irregular, the panic too genuine. There are even saliva sounds, throat clicks, all the things that make human speech human. So either we're dealing with intelligence-grade voice cloning, or someone recorded Mom at some point when she was actually in distress and spliced together a call. Marcus thought back over the past months. 6 weeks ago, your mother slipped on the stairs, twisted her ankle badly. She was crying, panicking about whether it was broken. I was at a site meeting. She called me, hysterical. Who else knew about that? I don't know. She might have called someone else first. Kevin, maybe. He stood, pacing the small office. If Kevin recorded that call, he'd have hours of your mother's voice in genuine distress. With the right software, you could cut and splice. You could make her say anything. Amber's face had gone pale. Dad, this is sophisticated. This isn't some jealous boyfriend acting on impulse. This is planned. Marcus pulled out the burner phone again, scrolling through the messages with new context. Kevin's text showed a pattern, always asking Connie to call him, to video chat, especially when she was emotional. Collecting data, building a library of her voice. We need to find out who Kevin is, Marcus said. Real name, address, background, everything. The phone number. Burner, probably. But people make mistakes. He opened the photo gallery on Connie's secret phone. Most of the images made his stomach turn. Intimate photos, selfies of Connie and a man Marcus didn't recognize. But one photo, buried in the camera roll from 3 months ago, showed something useful. The man, Kevin, sat at an outdoor cafe table, smiling at the camera. Behind him, partially visible, was a street sign, NW 23rd and Lovejoy. And in the reflection of the cafe window, Marcus could just make out the name, Cafe Umbria. He's local, Amber said, zooming in on the image. And careless enough to let Mom photograph him in public. Marcus studied Kevin's face. Mid-40s, fit, expensive haircut, designer sunglasses. The watch on his wrist was a Rolex. Real or fake? Marcus couldn't tell from the photo, but the man clearly wanted to project wealth. Run a reverse image search, Marcus suggested. Amber tried several databases, but the image quality wasn't good enough for a match. We need more information. Marcus scrolled through more messages, looking for any detail Kevin might have let slip. There, a message from 5 weeks ago. Can't meet tomorrow. Board meeting for the clinic runs late. He's on a board of directors. Medical clinic, probably, given Connie's profession. That's still dozens of clinics in Portland, Amber said. But Marcus was already pulling up another message thread, this one from 8 months ago. Kevin complaining about a patient who'd threatened to sue him. This guy treats patients. He's not just on a board. He's medical staff. A doctor having an affair with a nurse. How original, Amber muttered, but she was already searching. Providence has the largest pediatric staff in the area. If Mom met him at work. Start with doctors who've been at Providence for less than 5 years, Marcus interrupted. These messages only go back 2 years. He's relatively new. While Amber searched medical databases, Marcus continued reading through the messages, looking for the moment when flirtation had turned to something darker. He found it in a thread from 4 months ago. "Kay, I'm tired of sneaking around. I want you all to myself. Connie, you know I can't just leave. There's Amber, the house, everything we've built. Kay, everything you've built. What has Marcus ever really done except ride your success? You're the one with the steady income. You're the one with the benefits, the pension. Connie, that's not fair. Marcus's firm is doing well. Kay, is it? I looked up Pineda Architecture. Revenue's been flat for 3 years. He's drowning in debt on that Morrison Street project. If you divorced him tomorrow, you'd be splitting his debt, not his success." Marcus's hands tightened on the phone. The Morrison Street project had been a calculated risk, a historic building that needed extensive renovation. The budget had overrun, yes, but the project was solid. They'd break even within 6 months. But Kevin wasn't entirely wrong. The firm was leveraged. A divorce would be messy financially. "Got him," Amber said suddenly. Marcus looked up to see his daughter's screen filled with a professional headshot. The same face from the cafe photo, now in a white coat and professional smile. Dr. Kevin Wolf, pediatric surgeon, been at Providence for 3 years. Before that, he was at a hospital in Seattle. Before that, Amber's expression darkened. Dad, he was fired from a hospital in San Diego. Settled a sexual harassment lawsuit from a nurse. Let me see. The lawsuit details were sparse, sealed settlement, both parties agreeing to confidentiality. But the pattern was there. Kevin Wolf had a history of inappropriate relationships with staff. He was also, according to his Providence bio, married. Of course he is, Marcus said quietly. Connie's not the first. Won't be the last. There's more. Amber pulled up Kevin's social media. Carefully curated images of charitable work, expensive vacations, a beautiful home in the West Hills. His wife is Dana Cameron. She's a pharmaceutical sales rep. Makes serious money. So Kevin wants Connie without the mess of divorce. And he wants Marcus out of the picture so he doesn't have to split assets. Marcus could see the whole ugly picture now. The 911 call was a setup. If your mother had gone to that warehouse, they'd have found her there. Really her. Dead or dying. And with her history of the affair, with messages on this burner phone, it would look like a suicide. Or like I killed her when I found out. Marcus felt sick. Kevin stages the 911 call to establish that Connie was in distress. Then either Connie dies at the warehouse, and it's a tragedy, or Connie dies here, And I'm the prime suspect because the police have already been to our house tonight. Already documented a strange situation. But Mom didn't go, which means Kevin's plan failed. He had to improvise. Smashed the phone, left some blood, probably animal blood, and walked away. But now there's an investigation. Police scrutiny. His whole plan is unraveling. Amber leaned back, her face grave. What do we do? Go to the police. Marcus considered. And tell them what? That my cheating wife's boyfriend might be trying to frame me for murder based on text messages and a theory? We have no proof Kevin made that call. No proof he was at the warehouse. Just a lot of suspicious circumstances. So we get proof. No, Marcus said firmly. We do this carefully. Kevin thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He's already shown he's willing to kill. If we spook him, he'll either run or escalate. Then what's the plan? Marcus looked at his daughter, brilliant, fierce, loyal. Then he looked at the blueprints on his wall, each one representing a structure he'd analyzed, understood, and ultimately preserved or transformed. We do what I do best, he said. We study the structure, find the weak points, and then we bring the whole thing down. Chapter 4. The Architect's Blueprint. The weekend passed in a blur of research and surveillance. Marcus called in sick to work Friday and Monday, the first sick days he'd taken in 5 years. Connie, sensing the shift in the household's foundation, kept to herself, alternating between their bedroom and long drives to nowhere. She tried twice to talk to Marcus, both times meeting a wall of polite, cold silence. Amber worked her regular shifts but spent every off hour with Marcus, building what they'd started calling the case file. It wasn't just about gathering evidence anymore. It was about understanding their enemy completely. By Monday evening, Marcus had assembled a detailed profile of Dr. Kevin Wolf, and what he found was both illuminating and disturbing. Kevin had graduated medical school in the top 10% of his class, but had never quite lived up to that early promise. His career showed a pattern of moving every 3 to 5 years. Always lateral moves, never upward. Each departure seemed to follow a complaint or investigation, though nothing that ever made it to official record. Kevin was skilled at staying just ahead of consequences. His finances told an interesting story. Despite a pediatric surgeon's salary, easily $400,000 annually, Kevin lived paycheck to paycheck. The West Hills house was mortgaged to the hilt. The cars, a Tesla and a Porsche, were leased. The expensive vacations went on credit cards that showed growing balances. Kevin's wife, Dana Cameron, earned even more through pharmaceutical sales, but her income supported an expensive lifestyle that included a shopping habit documented across multiple social media accounts. Between them, they were drowning in debt while projecting an image of wealth and success. He needs money, Amber said, studying the financial records she'd obtained through methods Marcus chose not to question. Badly. Connie's life insurance through Providence is $500,000, Marcus noted. She made me the beneficiary years ago, but she could change that anytime. If she married Kevin, he'd get $500,000, plus whatever he got from divorcing Dana, minus what Mom lost divorcing you. Amber ran the numbers. Net positive of maybe $600,000, assuming Dana doesn't have a good lawyer. Not enough to solve his problems, but enough to buy him time. Marcus spread out printed screenshots of Kevin's social media across his dining room table. He'd moved his operation out of the office, needing more space. One image caught his attention. Kevin at a charity gala for Providence Children's Hospital, standing next to an older man identified in the tag as Dr. Roland Blackwell, Providence Hospital Board Chair. Roland Blackwell, Marcus murmured, recognizing the name. I did a renovation on his office building 6 years ago. You know him? Not well, but he remembers me. Sent me a Christmas card last year. Marcus pulled out his phone. And he owes me a favor. I caught a major structural issue with his building that could have killed someone. Saved him from a massive lawsuit. 20 minutes later, Marcus was on a call with Roland Blackwell, exchanging pleasantries before carefully steering the conversation toward Providence's pediatric surgery department. We're very proud of our team, Roland said. Why the interest? My wife works in pediatrics there. Connie Bryant. She's mentioned a Dr. Wolf a few times. Seemed impressive. A pause. When Roland spoke again, his tone had cooled slightly. Kevin's technically skilled. Excellent surgical outcomes. But there's always a but with Kevin, isn't there? Roland sighed. Off the record? Completely. Kevin came to us with stellar references from Seattle. 18 months in, we started hearing complaints. Nothing actionable. He's too smart for that. But the nurses don't trust him. There have been inappropriate comments, boundary issues. We can't prove anything, but there's smoke. Why keep him? Because he's technically brilliant, and we're short-staffed. And because his wife's pharmaceutical connections have been very beneficial to the hospital. Roland's distaste came through clearly. Politics, Marcus. Sometimes we can't remove the problem until it becomes undeniable. After the call ended, Marcus sat back, thinking. Kevin was protected by his skills and his wife's connections. But protection could become a prison with the right pressure applied. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Stop looking into me. Stay in your lane, or you'll regret it. Marcus showed it to Amber. He knows we're investigating. How? Roland might have mentioned our call. Or Kevin has someone monitoring his name on databases. Or Marcus felt cold realization dawn. Or Connie told him. As if summoned, Connie appeared in the doorway. I didn't tell him anything, but he called me. On my work phone. He knows about the burner being found. He's furious. Did he admit to anything? No. He just said. Connie's voice shook. He said if I valued Amber's safety, I'd convince you to drop whatever you're doing. He threatened our daughter? Marcus stood, the careful control he'd maintained for days cracking. He threatened Amber? He didn't say it directly, just implied. Marcus, I'm scared. I think we should go to the police with everything. And tell them what? My boyfriend threatened my family. Without proof, it's hearsay. And it exposes your affair, makes you look complicit, possibly costs you your job. I don't care about my job. Maybe you should have thought of that before sleeping with a married surgeon who's now threatening to hurt our child. Marcus's words were ice. You made this bed, Connie. Now we all have to lie in it. Connie flinched as if struck. I never meant for any of this. No one ever does. Marcus cut her off. Go upstairs. Stay out of the way. Let me fix the disaster you created. After she left, Amber spoke quietly. That was harsh, Dad. Was it untrue? No, but still harsh. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. I know, but we can't afford weakness right now. Kevin made a mistake by threatening you. He just made this personal in a way he doesn't understand. What are you going to do? Something Kevin won't expect. Marcus pulled out his laptop. He thinks I'm a cuckold husband who'll fold under pressure. He's about to learn otherwise. Chapter 5. The trap takes shape. Tuesday morning, Marcus returned to work, acting as if nothing had changed. His team at Pineda Architecture noticed he seemed distracted, but Marcus had always been intense about his projects. No one questioned it. At lunch, Marcus drove to Café Umbria, the cafe from Connie's photograph. He ordered coffee and sat at the same outdoor table where Kevin had been photographed, studying the street, the flow of foot traffic, the patterns. Kevin arrived at 1:15 p.m., punctual and predictable. Marcus had gambled that a man of expensive habits would have favorite spots he visited regularly. The gamble paid off. Kevin didn't notice Marcus at first. He was absorbed in his phone, texting rapidly. When he finally looked up to order, his eyes met Marcus's across the patio. For a moment, neither man moved. Then Marcus raised his coffee cup in a mock salute. Kevin's face went through several expressions: surprise, calculation, and finally, cold anger. He abandoned his place in line and walked over to Marcus's table. You have some nerve, Kevin said, keeping his voice low. Coming to my neighborhood. Public cafe. Public street. I'm a free citizen. Marcus gestured to the empty chair. Sit. Let's talk like adults. We have nothing to discuss. We have my wife to discuss. My daughter's safety. And your rather impressive plan that fell apart Friday night. Marcus watched Kevin's reaction carefully. Sit, Kevin, or I'll start talking loudly about why Connie didn't show up at the warehouse. Kevin sat, his jaw tight. Up close, Marcus could see the man was handsome in a polished, artificial way. Everything about him, from his haircut to his cologne to his carefully pressed shirt, screamed expensive maintenance. I don't know what Connie told you, Kevin began. Connie told me she's been having an affair with a surgeon. She told me she loves him. She told me she wants a divorce. Marcus delivered the lies smoothly, watching Kevin's eyes. What she didn't tell me is why someone made a fake 911 call from her phone Friday night. Care to enlighten me? I had nothing to do with that. Really? Because the timing is interesting. Connie was supposed to meet you that night. Didn't show. Then suddenly there's a 911 call, police at my door. a crime scene at a warehouse. Marcus leaned forward. That's one hell of a coincidence. Life is full of coincidences. Kevin's voice was steady, but his hands had curled into fists. Maybe Connie has other enemies. Maybe someone else doesn't like her. Or maybe someone wanted to stage a scene that would end with either Connie dead or me arrested for her murder. Someone who benefits from both outcomes. You're paranoid. Am I? Marcus pulled out his phone, showing Kevin a screenshot of the threatening text. Is this paranoid? You texted me. You threatened my daughter. That's not from me. Check the number. Marcus had checked. It was another burner, untraceable. But Kevin's micro-expression when he saw the text, a flash of satisfaction quickly hidden, told Marcus everything he needed to know. Here's what's going to happen, Marcus said calmly. You're going to leave my wife alone. You're going to end whatever relationship you have with her. And you're going to hope I decide not to go to the police with what I know. Kevin laughed, a sound without humor. And what exactly do you know? That your wife cheated? That I sent some text messages? You have no proof of anything criminal. Yet. Marcus stood. But I'm very good at finding structural weaknesses, Kevin. And your life is full of them. Give me time, and I'll bring your whole world down around you. Is that a threat? It's a promise. Marcus dropped money on the table for his coffee. Oh, and Kevin, if anything happens to Connie or Amber or me, anything at all, even something that looks like an accident, there's a file that goes straight to the police, the medical board, and your wife. I've documented everything. You're bluffing. Marcus leaned down, his voice dropping to a whisper. I'm an architect. I don't bluff. I build. And right now, I'm building your cage. He walked away without looking back, feeling Kevin's eyes burning into his shoulders. The confrontation had been a risk, but Marcus needed to rattle Kevin, make him act impulsively. 3 hours later, the response came. Marcus was at a construction site, reviewing the Morrison Street renovation's electrical system, when his phone rang. Dana Cameron's name appeared on screen, Kevin's wife. Mr. Pineda? This is Dana Wolfe, Kevin's wife. I think we need to talk. Chapter 6, The Alliance. They met at a wine bar in the Pearl District, far from both Providence Hospital and Marcus's usual haunts. Dana Cameron arrived precisely on time, dressed in expensive business casual that screamed pharmaceutical sales. All sharp angles and strategic color choices designed to project confidence. She was, Marcus noted, stunningly beautiful in a way that required significant maintenance. Her blonde hair was professionally styled, her makeup flawless, her manicure perfect. She carried herself like someone who'd spent a lifetime using her appearance as currency. Thank you for meeting me, Dana said as she slid into the booth across from Marcus. I'm sure this is strange. Strange doesn't begin to cover it. Marcus signaled the waiter. What are you drinking? Something strong. When the waiter approached, she ordered a martini. Marcus got bourbon. Once they were alone, Dana's professional veneer cracked slightly. Kevin doesn't know I'm here. If he finds out, there will be hell to pay. How did you get my number? From Kevin's phone. He saves everything. Text threads, call logs, photos. He thinks he's careful, but he's actually quite sloppy. She pulled out her phone, showing Marcus screenshots that matched the ones he'd seen on Connie's burner. He's been planning something. Something involving your wife. And you. How long have you known about the affair? 6 months. Maybe longer, if I'm honest with myself. Dana took a long sip of her martini when it arrived. Kevin has a pattern. Every few years, there's a new nurse, a new soulmate, a new person who understands him in a way I supposedly don't. Usually, they burn out within months. This one, your wife, lasted longer. Did you confront him? Once. He denied it, said I was paranoid, accused me of being controlling. Dana's laugh was bitter. Then he bought me a very expensive necklace and booked us a vacation to Maui. That's Kevin's pattern too. Lie, deny, love bomb. Why stay? Why does anyone stay? Money. Status. Fear of starting over. She met Marcus's eyes. But mostly, I stayed because I thought I could outlast whoever the current affair was with. I thought Connie would wise up and leave him like the others did. What changed? Dana pulled out more screenshots. The same messages Marcus had seen. The ones discussing his potential murder. This changed. When I saw these, I realized Kevin's escalated beyond affairs. He's planning something that could land him in prison. And me along with him. You think you'd be implicated? I'm his wife. We have joint accounts, joint assets. If Kevin goes down for attempted murder or fraud, I lose everything in the civil suits alone, even if I'm not criminally charged. Dana's voice hardened. I'm not losing my career, my reputation, and my financial stability because my husband is a narcissistic psychopath who can't keep his pants zipped. Marcus studied her. Dana was clearly motivated by self-interest, but that made her predictable, trustworthy, even within certain parameters. What do you want from me? He asked. I want Kevin gone. Out of my life, out of your life, out of Connie's life. And I want him to pay for what he's done. She leaned forward. I can help you. I have access to things you don't, his computer, his files, his communications. I know his schedule, his habits, his weaknesses. In exchange for ensuring that when this all comes out, I'm clearly the wronged spouse who cooperated with authorities, not the complicit wife who should have known better. Dana's eyes were ice. I want a divorce on my terms, with documentation showing Kevin's fraud and infidelity. I want the house, the accounts, and my reputation intact. Marcus sipped his bourbon, considering. An alliance with Dana was risky. She was clearly ruthless and self-serving. But she also had access to Kevin's inner world in ways Marcus never would. What else did you find on his phone? Marcus asked. Dana slid a small USB drive across the table. Everything. Texts, photos, emails, including communications with someone named Julius Medina. Do you know that name? Marcus shook his head. Julius runs a medical supply company, sells to Providence and a dozen other hospitals. He and Kevin have been exchanging messages about the plan and the setup. I think Julius helped Kevin make that 911 call. Why would a medical supply salesman help commit fraud? Because Kevin's been feeding Julius insider information about Providence's purchasing decisions in exchange for kickbacks. I found the records. Julius pays Kevin $5,000 a month through a shell company. If that came out, Kevin would be fired and lose his medical license. Marcus felt the pieces clicking into place. So Kevin has leverage over Julius. Tells him to help with the 911 scheme, and Julius can't refuse without exposing their corruption. Exactly. And Julius has the technical know-how. His company works with hospital communication systems. He'd know how to spoof a phone number, manipulate call routing. Can you prove any of this? It's all on the drive. Financial records, text messages, everything. Dana finished her martini. But there's more. Kevin's been draining our joint accounts. Small amounts. Moved to an offshore account I'm not supposed to know about. He's planning to run. When? I don't know. Soon, I think. The walls are closing in. The failed setup Friday. Your confrontation today. Kevin's getting desperate. She looked at Marcus seriously. Desperate men do desperate things. You need to be careful. So does your daughter. Marcus thought of Amber, working her shifts at 911 dispatch, vulnerable and exposed. What would you suggest? Set a trap. Give Kevin something he wants badly enough to make a mistake. Then spring it when you have witnesses and evidence. Dana stood, gathering her purse. I'll help however I can. But Marcus? When this is over, I want Kevin destroyed. Reputation, career, freedom, all of it. Can you do that? Marcus stood as well, extending his hand. I'm an architect, Dana. Destruction is just construction in reverse. They shook on it. Two scorned spouses united by a common enemy. As Marcus drove home, he called Amber. I need you to take a few days off work. Tell them it's a family emergency. What's happening? Kevin's getting desperate. I need you safe while we finish this. Dad, I'm not hiding. You're not hiding. You're helping me build the trap. But I need you alive to see it spring. His voice softened. Please, honey. For me. After a long pause, Amber agreed. What's the plan? We're going to give Kevin exactly what he wants. A chance to get rid of me. And when he takes it, we'll be ready. Chapter 7. The Bait. Wednesday morning, Marcus made a show of his normal routine. Coffee at 6, shower at 6:30, dressed, and out the door by 7:15. But instead of going to his office, he drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and waited. At 7:45 a.m., Amber texted, Mom just left for work. All clear. Marcus returned home and went to his office. He'd spent the previous evening preparing the bait, and now he implemented it with the precision he brought to architectural projects. First, he drafted an email to his attorney. Real email, but with CCs to Amber and a trusted colleague. The email outlined his intention to file for divorce from Connie, citing irreconcilable differences and infidelity. More importantly, It detailed his intention to pursue full control of all marital assets based on evidence of Connie's affair. He didn't send it. Instead, he saved it as a draft in his email system, knowing that if Kevin had any way of monitoring Marcus's communications, through Connie or otherwise, a draft would be even more valuable than a sent email. Drafts implied planning, hesitation, vulnerability. Next, Marcus made a phone call to Roland Blackwell, making sure to use his office phone, not his cell. "Roland, I need advice about something sensitive." "Of course, Marcus. What's on your mind?" "I'm going through a divorce. It's complicated by some financial irregularities I've discovered. I'm planning to drive up to my cabin in Mount Hood this weekend to review documents and meet with my attorney away from the city. I need space to think." This was the key lie. Marcus had no cabin in Mount Hood, but Kevin didn't know that. "I'm sorry to hear about the divorce," Roland said. "If there's anything I can do." "Actually, there is. The irregularities I mentioned might involve someone at Providence. I'm not sure yet, but if I find proof, I'll need to bring it to you first before going to authorities. Can I count on your discretion?" "Absolutely. Marcus, be careful with whatever you're uncovering." "I will. Thank you, Roland." After the call, Marcus began packing an overnight bag, making sure to do it within view of the home's security cameras. If someone was watching, and Marcus suspected Kevin had found a way to access his security system, they'd see him preparing for a trip. At noon, Amber arrived with lunch, Thai food from Marcus's favorite restaurant. They ate in his office, speaking casually about the plan. "The cabin story will get back to Kevin through Roland," Amber said. "Kevin will think you're isolated, vulnerable. That's the idea. Dana's going to accidentally mention to Kevin that I called Roland this morning. She'll act suspicious, like she's worried I'm investigating him." "When do you actually leave?" "Tomorrow afternoon. I'll make a show of it. Load up the car. Tell neighbors I'm going away for the weekend." Marcus pulled up a map on his laptop. "But I'm not going to Mount Hood. I'm going to a hotel 15 minutes from here. And you think Kevin will come after you at the fake cabin?" "I think he'll try something. He's running out of time and options. Dana says he's been researching hiking accidents in the Mount Hood area. If I accidentally fall off a cliff while emotionally distraught over my divorce, it's tragic, but explainable." Amber shivered. "This is insane. This is necessary." Marcus pulled out the USB drive Dana had given him. "Everything we need is here. Proof of Kevin's corruption, the offshore accounts, the communications with Julius. But it's not enough to just expose him. We need to catch him in the act." "So you're using yourself as bait." "I'm using the idea of myself as bait. Big difference." Marcus smiled grimly. "Kevin thinks he's smarter than everyone else. He thinks he can make me disappear and comfort the grieving widow. He doesn't know that the widow is done with him, that his accomplice is about to flip, and that I'm 3 steps ahead." That evening, Marcus had dinner with Connie, the first meal they'd shared since Friday. The conversation was stilted, careful. "I'm going away for a few days," Marcus said. "To think." Connie looked up from her barely touched pasta. "Where? Does it matter?" "Marcus, please. Can't we talk about this? Can't we try?" "Try what?" "Marriage counseling? Forgiveness." He set down his fork. "Connie, you had an affair with a man who planned to murder me. Even if you didn't know about that part, you still chose him over our marriage, over our family. There's nothing left to talk about." "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." "So am I." Marcus stood. "I've left instructions with Amber. If anything happens to me while I'm gone, she knows what to do." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm not stupid, Connie. And I'm not defenseless." He carried his plate to the sink. "I suggest you do some thinking too, about what you want from the rest of your life. Because this chapter, it's over." He left her sitting at the table and went upstairs to pack, making sure to pack items that suggested a multi-day trip. Hiking boots, warm clothes, his laptop. All for show. His phone buzzed. A text from Dana. He took the bait. Overheard him on the phone with Julius. "They're planning something for this weekend. Be careful." Marcus responded. "Careful is my specialty." But as he lay in bed that night, unable to sleep, Marcus wondered if he'd miscalculated. Kevin was dangerous, unstable, and now cornered. Even the best laid plans could fail. His phone buzzed again. This time Amber, second-guessing. "How did you know?" "Because I am too. Dad, if anything goes wrong." "It won't. But if it does, I need you to know something. You're the best father I could have asked for. You taught me to be strong, to be smart, to never settle. Whatever happens this weekend, I'm proud to be your daughter." Marcus felt his eyes burn. I love you, sweetheart. And I promise you, this is going to work. He hoped he wasn't lying. Chapter 8. The Revelation. Friday afternoon, Marcus made a performance of leaving. He loaded his car with the overnight bag, made a show of checking the tires, and even stopped to chat with his neighbor about needing some time away to clear his head. Then he drove exactly 3 miles to a Holiday Inn Express, checked in under his own name, and went to his room on the 3rd floor. Dana had rented the room next door. Amber had set up in a room across the hall. Together, they'd created a command center that would have made any surveillance team proud. Kevin left Providence at 3, Dana reported, checking the tracking app on her phone. She'd placed a GPS tracker in Kevin's Tesla 2 days ago. He went home, changed clothes, then met Julius at a coffee shop in Gresham. Any idea what they discussed? No, but Julius transferred $10,000 to Kevin's offshore account this morning. That's double his usual kickback payment. Dana pulled up the financial records on her laptop. Kevin's bleeding him dry. Julius must be terrified. Amber was monitoring police scanners and had a laptop connected to the hotel's security cameras. If Kevin tries anything here, we'll have video evidence. Plus, I've got friends in dispatch ready to respond within minutes if we call. Marcus paced the small hotel room. The question is whether Kevin will try something tonight or wait until he thinks I'm at the cabin. At 6:47 p.m., the answer came. Marcus's phone rang. Connie. Marcus, where are you? Her voice was tight with panic. Why? Because Kevin just called me. He knows you're not at Mount Hood. He knows you're somewhere in the city. Marcus, he's furious. He said something about you interfering and forcing his hand. I think he's going to do something. Did he say what? No, but he told me to make sure Amber stays home tonight. He said it wasn't safe for her to be out. Connie's voice broke. Marcus, I'm scared. I think I made a terrible mistake. I think Kevin is dangerous. You're just figuring that out now? Don't, please. Just tell me where you are. Let me help. Marcus made a decision. I'm at the Holiday Inn on Southeast Stark. Room 312. But Connie, you need to stay away. If Kevin's tracking you. I'll be careful. I'm leaving work now. After she hung up, Dana shook her head. That was a mistake. You can't trust her. I'm not trusting her. I'm using her. Marcus explained his thinking. If Connie tells Kevin where I am, and she will, either intentionally or because Kevin gets it out of her, then Kevin will come here. Where we're ready. Where we have cameras, witnesses, and a plan. And if she doesn't tell him, then Kevin's still looking for me, still making mistakes, still exposing himself. Marcus checked his watch. Either way, we're in control. At 7:30 p.m., Amber's laptop chimed. Someone just accessed the hotel's guest registry database remotely. They searched for your name. Can you trace it? Already on it. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. The IP address is bouncing through proxies, but the original search came from. She looked up, surprised. Providence Hospitals Network. Julius, Dana said. He has administrator access to hospital systems. Kevin must have asked him to hack the hotel. So now they know I'm here. Marcus felt the pieces sliding into place. How long until they arrive? The answer came faster than expected. At 7:52 p.m., Dana's tracking app showed Kevin's car pulling into the hotel parking lot. He's here, she announced. With Julius. Amber pulled up the hotel's exterior cameras, showing 2 men getting out of Kevin's Tesla. Marcus recognized Kevin immediately. The other man, Julius Medina, was shorter, balding, with the nervous energy of someone in over his head. They're coming inside, Amber reported. Should I call police now? Not yet. Let's see what they do. Marcus positioned himself in the room's chair, facing the door. Dana, get your camera ready. Amber, record everything. The minutes crawled by. On the laptop screen, they watched Kevin and Julius approach the elevator, ride to the 3rd floor, walk down the hallway. They stopped outside Marcus's room. A knock. Firm, controlled. Marcus looked at the 2 women. Remember, stay quiet. No matter what happens, do not come out unless I call for you, or unless I'm in immediate physical danger. He opened the door. Kevin stood in the hallway, still in his expensive clothes, but with his surgeon's mask of professional calm slipping. Behind him, Julius looked like he wanted to be anywhere else. Marcus, we need to talk. I have nothing to say to you. Then listen. Kevin pushed past Marcus into the room. Julius followed reluctantly. You've been making inquiries. Talking to Roland. Investigating me. That needs to stop. Or what? Marcus closed the door, very aware that Dana and Amber were recording everything from the next room. You'll threaten my daughter again? Frame my wife for murder? Try to make me disappear at a cabin I don't own. Kevin's expression flickered, surprise, then anger. You think you're clever, don't you? The wronged husband, playing detective. But you're in over your head. Am I? Because from where I'm standing, you're the one who's desperate. Your plan failed last Friday. Your wife knows about your affairs. Your colleague, Marcus nodded at Julius, is terrified of being implicated in your schemes. And I have evidence of everything. Your corruption, your kickbacks, your offshore accounts. You have nothing, Kevin said, but his voice wavered. I have Dana. I have your text messages. I have financial records showing 2 years of fraud. Marcus pulled out his phone, showing screenshots. I have proof you spoofed my wife's phone to stage a fake 911 call. I have proof you planned to murder me and make it look like an accident. Julius made a small sound, a whimper. Kevin, you said we were just scaring him. You said. Shut up, Kevin snapped. I'm done shutting up. Julius turned to Marcus. I didn't know he was planning to kill anyone. He told me the 911 call was just to scare Connie, make her leave you. He said it was harmless. Harmless. Marcus stared at Julius. They found blood at that warehouse. Pig's blood, Julius said miserably. From a medical supply shipment. Kevin said it would make the scene look real. I helped him set it up, but I swear I didn't know he was planning actual murder. Kevin's face had gone red. You fool. You absolute fool. No, Kevin. You're the fool. Marcus stepped back, putting space between himself and the two men. You're the one who left evidence everywhere. You're the one who threatened people. You're the one who's about to lose everything. You can't prove any of this in court. Maybe not, but I don't need to prove it in court. I just need to prove it to the medical board, to Providence's administration, to your wife's lawyers. Marcus smiled coldly. You'll lose your medical license. Your wife will divorce you and take everything. The IRS will investigate your offshore accounts. And even if you avoid criminal charges, your life as you know it is over. Kevin moved fast, faster than Marcus expected from a surgeon. His hand shot into his jacket, emerging with something small and metal. A scalpel. Then I have nothing to lose, Kevin said quietly. Chapter 9. The Collapse. The scalpel gleamed under the hotel room's fluorescent lights. A surgical tool transformed into a weapon. Marcus's mind, trained to assess structural integrity under pressure, calculated angles and distances in microseconds. Kevin was 6 feet away. The scalpel's blade was perhaps 3 inches long. Dangerous, potentially fatal, but requiring close proximity. Julius had backed against the wall, his face ashen. Kevin, don't, Marcus said calmly. You pull that move, and you go from fraud to attempted murder. From losing your career to losing your freedom. My career's already gone. You made sure of that. Kevin's hand trembled slightly. Adrenaline, not fear. But if I'm going down, I'm taking you with me. Connie will grieve, sure. But she'll get over it. She'll get the life insurance. She'll be free. Connie doesn't want you anymore, Marcus said. She's done. Whatever fantasy you built in your head, it's over. You're lying. Am I? Marcus pulled out his phone slowly, keeping his movements visible and non-threatening. Ask her yourself. He hit dial on Connie's number, putting it on speaker. She answered on the first ring. Marcus? Where are you? I'm at the hotel, but... Connie, I'm in my room with Kevin. He's here. With a scalpel. And he seems to think you still want to be with him. Silence. Then, Kevin's there? Oh God. Marcus, I called the police. They're on their way. Kevin's face went white. You what? I called them after you phoned me earlier, Connie said, her voice breaking. You sounded insane. You said things, horrible things about Marcus, about Amber. I realized you were never going to leave me alone, that you were dangerous. So I called 911 and told them everything. You bitch, Kevin hissed. No, Kevin. I'm just done being your victim. Done being your accomplice. Done with all of it. Connie's voice hardened. The police have the burner phone. They have the text messages. They have my statement about the affair, the threats, everything. It's over. The scalpel wavered in Kevin's hand. Julius, he said suddenly. Tell them this was all Marcus's idea. That he set me up, fabricated evidence. But Julius was already shaking his head. I'm not going to prison for you, Kevin. I'm calling my lawyer. I'm cutting a deal. He pulled out his phone. Kevin lunged. Not at Marcus. At Julius, trying to stop him from making the call. It was the mistake Marcus had been waiting for. As Kevin crossed the room, Marcus moved. Not to fight. He wasn't a fighter, and Kevin was younger, stronger. Instead, Marcus did what he did best. He used the structure. He grabbed the desk chair and shoved it into Kevin's path. Kevin tripped, stumbling forward. The scalpel flew from his hand, skittering across the floor. At the same moment, the door to Dana's room burst open. She emerged with her phone raised, camera recording, capturing everything. "Stop," she shouted. "Kevin, I have everything on video. You threatening Marcus, pulling a weapon. It's over." Kevin, on his hands and knees, looked up at his wife. In his eyes, Marcus saw the moment of recognition, the realization that everyone had turned against him, that every plan had failed, that the walls had finally closed in. "Dana," he said quietly, "please." "I already gave my statement to the police," Dana said coldly. "I already filed for divorce. I already froze our accounts and changed the locks on the house. You have nothing left, Kevin. Nothing." Footsteps pounded in the hallway. Hotel security arrived first. Two large men who assessed the situation quickly and moved to restrain Kevin. Police followed 30 seconds later, Amber leading them. "That's him," Amber said, pointing at Kevin. "That's the man who threatened my family." The arresting officer read Kevin his Miranda rights while a second officer took Julius into custody. Marcus stood back, watching the architecture of Kevin's life collapse with the same inevitability as a building with a compromised foundation. Dana approached Marcus quietly. "Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for the evidence. Without it, we'd never have trapped him. What happens now?" Marcus looked at his daughter, strong and fierce. At Dana, calculating but honest in her self-interest. At Connie, who'd arrived and stood in the hallway, tears streaming down her face. "Now," Marcus said, "now we rebuild." Epilogue, 3 months later. The offices of Pineda Architecture had expanded into the adjacent suite, the Morrison Street renovation having come in under budget and generating significant new business. Marcus sat at his drafting table, reviewing plans for a historic courthouse restoration, when Amber knocked on his open door. "Got a minute, Dad? For you?" "Always." He set down his pencil. Amber entered, holding a folder. "Thought you'd want to know. Kevin's sentencing was today." Marcus had deliberately stayed away from the proceedings, letting the justice system work without his presence. And 5 years for fraud, attempted assault with a deadly weapon, and conspiracy. Julius got 18 months for his cooperation, but lost his business and his medical supply licenses. Dana got the house, the accounts, and full restitution in the divorce. "And your mother?" Amber's expression softened. "Providence put her on administrative leave during the investigation, but she's back at work now. She's in therapy. She sold the house, said she couldn't live there anymore. Got an apartment in Selwood." "How is she?" "Broken. Trying to heal." Amber sat across from her father. "She asks about you sometimes. Whether you'll ever forgive her." Marcus considered the question carefully. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. It's a process. Maybe someday. But the marriage is over. That foundation can't be repaired. "I know." She knows too. Amber pulled out a document from her folder. She signed the divorce papers. No contest. Split assets 50-50, just like Oregon law requires. She said, Amber's voice caught slightly. "She said you deserved better than 50%, but it was all she could give you." Marcus took the papers, feeling the weight of 28 years reduced to legal language and signatures. "And you? How are you handling all this?" "Honestly, I'm angry. At Mom for the affair. At Kevin for the threats. At myself for not seeing it sooner." Amber met his eyes. "But I'm also grateful. Grateful you're safe. Grateful you showed me what real strength looks like. Not violence or intimidation, but intelligence, planning, and patience." "I learned from the best," Marcus said. "Your grandmother always said, measure twice, cut once." Turns out that applies to more than just carpentry. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, father and daughter, survivors of a storm that had tested every foundation they'd built their lives on. "So what's next for you?" Amber finally asked. Marcus gestured at the blueprints surrounding them. "This. Work I love. Projects that matter. And maybe," he smiled slightly, "maybe eventually someone to share it with. But not yet. First, I rebuild myself. Get the foundation right before adding new structures." "That's very metaphorical, Dad. I'm an architect. It's what we do." He stood, pulling her into a hug. "Thank you. For everything. for being smart, brave, and loyal, for helping me through the darkest time of my life. We helped each other, Amber said. That's what family does. As she left, Marcus returned to his drafting table, but his eyes drifted to the window overlooking downtown Portland. Somewhere out there, Kevin sat in a cell, his career destroyed, his freedom gone, his carefully constructed life reduced to rubble. Marcus felt no joy in it, no satisfaction, just a quiet sense of justice, the kind that came when structural flaws were identified, addressed, and corrected. His phone buzzed. A text from Roland Blackwell. Heard about the courthouse project. Congratulations. Lunch next week to discuss another restoration opportunity. Marcus smiled and typed back, looking forward to it. Because that's what he did. He restored broken things. He found beauty in old structures and gave them new life. He built carefully, deliberately, with an eye toward lasting permanence. And if his own life had been shaken to its foundations, if his marriage had collapsed and his trust had been betrayed, well, that just meant he had the opportunity to rebuild something stronger, something true, something that would last. Marcus Pineda returned to his blueprints, his hands steady, his vision clear, ready to construct whatever came next. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your time. If you enjoy this story, please subscribe to this channel. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.